I would like to start with showing you some contrasting, or two contrasting taxonomies. When we look at surveys and reports about the state of corporate communication, here it's interesting to notice that under public relations activities, they put one of the things is corporate communication. And of course they mean corporate publicity. So very limited scope. Now, when you look at corporate communication, people, and here is a quote from Paul Argenti, you discover that they put public relation as a minor, insignificant activity within corporate communication. So, and here is a quote, as problems in the 70s developed outside of companies requiring more than simple internal public relation functions implemented by outside consultants, the roots of the new corporate communication function started to take hold. So, corporate communication developed its own manuals. This is a well-known one by Paul Argenti. And you see the topics that are covered. Let's go straight to number 5, managing corporate advertising, managing media relations, investor relations, employee communication, managing government affairs, managing communication in a crisis. Already heard these titles, actually. This is one among several prominent manuals in public relations by Dan Latimer. Elizabeth Toss is also part of it. Let's have a look also at the topics: media relation, employee communication, community relation, consumer relation, financial relation, so on and so forth. So more or less, looks the same thing. Same content. Some interesting hints. A chapter about from PR to corporate communication, again. The first spin doctors, and here public relations is basically portrayed as spin doctors, and the new function emerges. Again here, the concept we've seen before. Again, what's going on here? Are we saying the same things? Are we covering the same topics, calling it a different way? At first glance, you may think that this is, we'll talk about rebranding exercise, and Leon was referring to that, a rebranding exercise by business schools. And if you read this quote from The Power of Corporate Communication by, again, Paul Argenti and Janice Foreman, you see that it's an effort of to position corporate communication within the business schools. Few academicians, especially in the US, have tried that from corporate communication, from business schools, to rebrand public relation and place it in business schools. Here, paradoxically, although we credit public relations for raising some of the issues central to corporate communication today, our goal is to pull corporate communication out of that tradition, usually taught in School of Journalism and Communication, and to place it squarely where management education and within business practice where we think corporate communication belongs. So this, I think it's a quite blunt statement, clear agenda, clear rebranding agenda. That's it. By the way, in parentheses, there is quite a big frustration in the US about repositioning or positioning corporate communication in business schools. So far, except few exceptions, there are not really corporate communication courses taught in business school and MBAs. They're not allowed to. They teach other courses in the same content, but within other labels. So it's a battle that has been going on for the last 10, 15 years, trying to position corporate communication in business schools. So this is, in a certain way, very superficial look at that and what's going on there by just observing on the surface what's going on there. I think that there are still some differences of focus between public relation and corporate communication, and I will try to show that there are complementary efforts that may merge into something interesting. But let's see, first of all, a higher force is controlling. Anyway, I think there are, maybe bias is too a strong term to illustrate that, but there are differences in focus. Public relation start, let's say, from the concerns of publics and stakeholders, and from there we build communication strategies. I'm talking about focuses, I'm not talking only about that. Corpcom, it's more an internal bias, tends to start from what the company is about and develops ways to project it through behaviors and impression management. So there is a difference in focus. The second element that characterizes corporate communication is a strong focus on measurement. It is about understanding and measuring differences in cognition and perception inside and outside the organization, and between actual desire, projected, perceived cognitions. So measurement is a key element in corporate communication academic program. Corporate communication is also very pervasive. It involves different parts of the organization, and most important, it is clearly linked to the strategic decision and the vision of the organization. Here is a quote from Case Van Riel, Chan Fonbrood in their latest book, Corporate Communication, Essential in Corporate Communication, where they say developing a corporate communication perspective does not require establishing a new function in organization. So stressing this pervasive, multifunctional approach. Rather, it invites bringing down the traditional Chinese walls. So, in a certain way, they say, you know, corporate communication doesn't need an additional function, an additional person. It's about the real challenge is to have the different parts of the organization working together, aligning. We will talk about alignment later on. Alignment is the fourth characteristics, I would say, of corporate communication. It is a constant effort of bringing together different cognitive levels. Failing in this effort, in a certain way, according to this author, and in particular, Michael Schulz. I didn't know that Michael Schulz was coming today, so I didn't prepare that. I discovered that yesterday, that she was also here. So, no plots. And Mary Jo Watch explained very well that not being able to align may compromise the ability to have strong identity dialogues with the different stakeholders and exploit what actually the company is in terms of having strong relationships with stakeholders.